Hey, hey, how's everybody doing today? This is Wednesday, and we got the Cream Rises crew back. First of all, we just want to give you a shout out, everybody who's been supporting us and giving us well wishes and giving us feedback and just asking us to continue on with the content. I'm GLook, and that's the conscientious consultant. Conscientious. Is that it?
Consciousness.
The consciousness, because I be calling them conscious. But I've been fucking up words since he'll tell you I'll fuck up a name and some words. So
But it's actually not the easiest title for most people. It's not a word that's readily available all the time, and it's also a tongue twister. So, you know,
yeah,
kind of one of those things where it gotta be really intentional to say it, but it's all good.
yeah. So we got yeah. So name of the show is Cream Rises. One of the objectives of the show is to give us some tools to really jump into with our youth and with the future and with ourselves to clean ourselves up spiritually and free ourselves to know of a higher existence here and to be ready and prepared to go be with God after all this shit is over. So, trying to put things in perspective because we really take things real serious here that are not supposed to be serious, and the things that are supposed to be serious, just from the basis of a race uh, perspective as a black man, I'm not one to be marching, complaining, the white man's this, we got to, you all to, let's go get her, and all that shit. It ain't never worth 2023. No banks, niggas still killing each other. Baby mama drama, penitentiary, uh, you know, false hope, false teachers, lifting up rappers and gang members as gods instead of God, and not even understanding that
Mm,
everybody's walk is their walk. So we created this show, Cream Rises, because the cream will eventually rise, in your life and in your
right.
existence and in your knowledge. My mom is basically on, I'm not going to say her deathbed, but she's doing bad. And, all those 85 years comes to this, and it's going to come to this with
Right.
everybody. And so it's
Yeah.
time to have that reckoning, pay the cost to be the boss. So one of the subjects that has been presented to us is the false hope of thinking that your accolades and what you achieve here mean something. like it may, like it may, like it don't mean shit, and nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? We play the dance. We dance like we care. And I'm in the horse community, so when I show up with my Dodge Ram and my 4 horse trailer with my nice 2 Tennessee Walkers, you know what I'm saying? Y'all don't care. It's a I know the horses don't. I know we pretend like we care, and I'm prideful, and I'll pull up on y'all. And then you're gonna either like it or you're not gonna like it, but mostly you're not gonna like it because you don't care about that. The shit don't mean nothing, you know. And we was just talking about it. Jerry Rice. I'm gonna let you chime in
Yeah.
on this too, TCC. Jerry Rice, one of the most acclaimed and one of the greatest football players in my lifetime. He's one of my peers, but he was set all the NFL records for receiving. Got a whole bunch of Super Bowls. Rags to riches story coming from Mississippi and coming all the way up to play on the 49ers and just be all pro, uh, top. Probably could get all the girls he want. Had a lot of money, a lot of accolades. Right? That wasn't enough.
Hmm.
That wasn't enough. So when he retired, that wasn't enough for him. So what he did was went on Dancing with the Stars. Just a black man, Dancing with the Stars, and started doing the ballerina dances and the waltzes and shit, and letting that old white man and that gay dude and that white woman judge him to tell that nigga if he could dance, right? And was damn near in tears when they said, "Yeah, nigga, you can dance," right? Not so. I mean, if you're an All-Pro legend, Hall of Famer, and you still that ain't enough, right? I gotta subject. I've already subjected myself to Deion Sanders fighting me and niggas trying to break my head off. I already subjected myself to that, right? That's not enough. So if it ain't enough for a rich all pro, what's enough?
Right,
Right. So how do we
right.
deal with that, G? What's enough, G?
Man, first of all, that's funny as hell because I love I love how you lay it out that way. It's a great way to lay it out that way for real. 'Cause that's really, that's the way that's what gives us the platform to see the truth in it. So, in real life, that's what's going on. Now, first off, disclaimer, just a disclaimer for this. When we get into these things, they always sound a little hopeless at first because you are tearing down the
Yeah.
construct of what people think this shit is happening, right?
Right.
So you're right, and so I mean, there's like there's a balancing aspect, there's a dual aspect to that. As far as when I say balancing, I mean um, you do have experiences that you're having in this place that's set up in this place for your that we call our life, right?
Right.
Each person has their own one, whether it's 80, 90 years or whether it's 20 years or 5 years, whatever it may be, whenever you leave the body or whatever, and you cease to be in the physical dimensions. But um, the experiences are never meant to fulfill you as far as the experience in itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to be enough. So let's just get out right off the bat. Any award you get, any certificate, anything that you achieve or you thought you couldn't do and you could do now, how much money, how much job you do with your body, all those things, they give you little hits like a drug of like accomplishment in this place because this realm is set in goal and achievements and experiences.
Right.
So the mind is networked into the place to pull you so that you can keep living your destiny out. That's what's God has something in you that's pulling you to live your destiny out, and that encouragement and that motivation and inspiration is coming from different places for different people.
Mm-hmm.
But the point of it is that it was never any experience in itself was never going to fulfill you totally. It's
Mm-hmm.
showing you something. It's showing you something. So what you get fulfilled off of is what we call God. Again, I'm using this word God, the divine, the spirit of things, the
Mm-hmm.
truth of everything. And the truth of everything fills you up and sets you free from the enslavement of thinking that any experience will fulfill you, which allows you to actually enjoy the experience that comes, but
Mm-hmm.
not feel identified by it. Fulfillment in this place. I think we realize at a certain point in our life, in a certain lifetime, that everything, every experience, everything that we're having, whether we get accolades in it or it's an accomplishment, it's all part of our journey, and nothing is to be negated that way. But to see the truth in it, to see what it's for,
Mm-hmm.
is to show us the divine in it, so we can be fulfilled within it. And so, which gives us a different perspective and a different way that we experience our life and allow life to keep going and flow, but for us to experience it from a plane of fulfillment, being fulfilled already while it's happening,
Right.
which would be the highest way to experience. So, not that it's not a negation to anything that does appear in this place or does happen, whether you play sports or you get accomplishments or you try something new or whatever. It's all part of your journey. But if you don't know yet that like it's showing you um, there's the fabric and there's an essence in everything that gives you fulfillment, which we would call God or the divine in the
Mm-hmm.
source, which is outside of the physical experience of it. Is it individualized. It's like it may be couched in experience or a setting or a destiny that you have fated for you to live, but the point is to see that. And so yeah, you might always feel kind of insatiably driven in this place
Mm-hmm.
to conquer and to acquire more and things like that because you're not seeing the point of what those experiences are for,
Right.
and what it's trying to show you and so it gets real cyclical, or it gets like you almost feel like like a hamster on a hamster wheel, or
Yeah.
something like that. And so until you get exhausted of that and you start realizing, okay, what is this about? And then you go to deeper experience and deeper existence than within the physical realm, which is giving you more depths of understanding what's it about, which gives you more fulfillment and satiation, and your system's able to relax more. You're able to have more peace. You're able to let shit flow through, let it go.
So let me.
give, receive,
How does
love,
that?
truly.
How does that relate? Well, you just touched on it. Love, truly. How does that relate to like marriage? I come from a generation. I call it the divorce generation, right?
Hmm.
Where people they meet, uh, they get married, they make people pay for the wedding and pay for the shoes and the tux. You stand up
Hmm.
there and you listen to the preacher. I'm gonna bring him up every day. You should listen to that same fat dude up there, telling you
Hmm.
before God that this is gonna be all right, And 6 years later, or maybe a kid or two later, uh, them same people are divorcing. Um,
Hmm.
and so the ritual, the crying, and the vows that are taken at the wedding, and looking each other in the eye. And I like the bachelor party, and I like getting with some of the maids of honor and drinking and shit. But it's just a joke to me. When you stand up there, I mean, I'd rather go out in the field and just be naked with my loved one and just pledge allegiance to God and ask Him to bathe us and glorify our spiritual connection personally. But I do come
Right.
from the tuxedo. Look at the bride. Look at the groom. I come from that ritual, you know, and I
Yeah.
know they mean it at the
Yeah.
time. But how can you mean something
Hmm.
and be so in love at the time and then be damn near? I'm talking about putting all somebody's clothes under your car and burning rubber on it. And, having sex with their best friends and calling them ain't shit and talking about, how do you go from there to there? You said it in front of God at the wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think there's depths of love. So there's definitely depths and levels of love, right? And I think and we call it there's like levels of like human love, and then they get into the higher loves, which are divine love. So I
Mm-hmm.
think most people love from the lower levels of love, which is transactional and very physical based, and very come from a place of lack already, which is like a lot of human love. So it's almost like I don't have anything in my pool, and you could fill my pool up, so that makes me love you, right? And
Oh.
then so
Mm-hmm.
then once that stops, then a lot of times you're like, what is it rooted in? So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, and I'm not saying that's not a type of love, it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's a type of love, it's a form of love, but there are levels and degrees of love.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in the divine world's on a spectrum, just like
Mm-hmm.
light is on a spectrum, just
Mm-hmm.
like love's on a spectrum, everything's on a spectrum. So we're always deepening. So as you get closer and closer to truth, your love deepens, which
Mm-hmm.
doesn't necessarily have to have um a certain tangible physical thing to it, because it becomes a vibration. Love
Mm-hmm.
turns into your vibration. You become the frequency and vibration of love just by your very presence.
Right.
And so your very presence becomes that, and then that can be an action, or something being done from that space, or giving or receiving, which are languages, like they call languages or extensions of love. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times in the beginning, love is rooted because people come into the place already feeling lack. So you bring your traumas and your darkness, and you kind of meet somebody in that space, which
Mm-hmm.
is a form of love, because all that is necessary in our ascension. But
Mm-hmm.
as we get to certain levels in our ascension, there's certain loves that aren't necessary. Things are still exchanged and given, but it's seen from a deeper and more nourished and more vibratory space.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that we negate anything that happens in life. That's not the thing. I'm not so any type of marriage or love that was, puppy love you had, or even love that you had with marriage with kids, and you like, man, it's over now. What was that? Or
Mm-hmm.
any accomplishments or anything you do. It's not that we negate them. It's that we're looking at them to ascend. So we're deepening our spirit, and our consciousness is deepening as we go through them, and we're ascending in them. So we're bearing more love within ourselves.
Right.
So that when you have more love within yourself, you're able to experience more fulfillment and more complete. And so then our experiences start to reflect where we're at in that space.
Right.
So the confusion of not seeing it that way or not knowing that is what may cause a lot of the what I would call, yeah, confusion and lack of understanding with maybe with how life is progressing
Mm-hmm.
for certain people, or certain things that have happened that they can't like well, I got married, I got divorced, or my kids are over here, and I don't see like just the
Mm-hmm.
things that appear in this place
Right.
that are hard to reconcile with without having that kind of fundamental knowing. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not that that wasn't a form of love or that wasn't necessary. It's just that we're everything in our life. To me, there's measurements that I go by that kind of give um, a reference to this understanding that we're on a path for that. Is to me, your heart should constantly be in more and more open as you're living. It should be softer. It
Mm-hmm.
should be more available.
Mm-hmm.
You should
So you
have
shouldn't grow up to
more
be
peace and contentment.
you shouldn't grow up to just be a bitter, mean old person. You actually should be nicer as you get older, right?
You're right, right. That's why they
Softer.
call it. That's why they call it the golden years. That's why it's supposed to be your golden years. You're supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
gold.
Mm.
You ain't supposed to be mean and honoring and hated life.
I'll shoot a nigga. I ain't got time for the young. You ain't supposed to be that.
Nah, nah. You're supposed to be just so much patience. Life is supposed to give you so much patience and grace and love from your experience that you understand how to like hold space for that. That's why you be the wise old man. That's supposed to be. You're supposed to be the golden wise old man, the elder.
That's
You know what
right.
I mean?
That's right.
That's holding space by that presence.
Right.
Obviously, age don't equate to your spiritual age. I mean, there's people that's 20 years old that is way more spiritually older than
Mm-hmm.
someone in a physical age, but
Mm-hmm.
it does equate for most people. But it
Right.
depends on what lifetime you're in, and it depends on what your anointing is in this place. Some people are just anointed to be teachers and hold that space even from a young age, so you'll always be that. But
Mm-hmm.
like you're supposed to age gracefully, not just physically, because the physical is second. Obviously, physical, you're housed in this, so it makes your life a little bit more pleasurable if you age in gracefully physically. But the physical is second to the spirit. The whole
So
point of all your experiences. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead. You were saying the signs. You were talk. I interrupted you. I'm sorry. You were saying some signs that you go by
Mhm.
to that people kind of give you a reference point of where you're at, and I interrupted. I'm sorry.
No, you good.
Yeah.
It's good. I was talking about him. I was saying you be more gracious. You have more
Mm-hmm.
patience.
Mm-hmm.
Have more peace fundamentally. You have definitely a greater proximity of love.
Mm-hmm.
And love is not what always like I think people get kind of confused with love only looking in action because when you're in lower levels of love, like the beginning human levels of love, you only look at love as just action,
Right.
right? Like what'd you do for me? What'd you do for me? Right? Which is
Right.
necessary because we're in a human experience and we all need things. So I'm not taking away from that. But a
Right.
lot of times love is presence too and
Right.
vibration and space, holding space too. So that and then um, yeah, just more contentment,
Right.
more understanding, more comprehension of life with other beings, be able to bear with people a bit more,
So
bear with
I
yourself,
mean,
things like that.
that's what you want, and that's what I'm getting to. I mean, with our counseling, a couple of people of high merit and gurus, basically spiritualists that have been helping me to peel back the layers. And so, people that we're talking to, our soul shot riders, our audience, I know you know that we've been programmed. I mean, as soon as you come out the womb, it's like when you gonna walk, when your first day of
Yeah,
kindergarten, you graduate kindergarten, then you go to the first grade, then you play on your first football team. What's your first touchdown? When you get this, you got this time clock already of events mapped out for you. And if you're not learning and experiencing them and you're just achieving them or missing the mark on them, is kind of makes you jaded a little bit or makes you arrogant and a little bit narcissistic. If you
mhm,
think any of that mean any damn thing. I mean, I used to take my kids out of school.
mhm.
G'd tell you, just take them out of school and just go fishing. Like, you ain't get ready to trap my kids to thinking that if they miss a day of school or they get a B on the test, that they're not shit, or they're missing some kind of
Right,
mark. They could have learned everything like me. I learned
right.
everything, but I was a D student though. But I was an absorber. But I couldn't go by the rules and shit. Just
Yeah,
sitting there all day, let some lady talk to me about some shit. And I'm a teenager. It don't even make sense, right?
right,
So I'm just
right.
saying, when we get into the trappings of your first girlfriend, or men are pushing these boys to conquer girls sexually and pushing the girls to stay away from here. And in sports, you have these goals. You got to get a scholarship. Then you got to hit the league. You got to be a
Mm,
starter, or you got to be in church. You got to be a deacon, or you got to sing. So you can look around and see how you're not progressing yourself spiritually because you can't see nothing. Everything you're
right.
looking at ain't shit. You're nothing. It's nothing, because everybody else
Right.
is trying to do their thing. So you think they really care about you, or you're bouncing off people. So
Mm-hmm.
if you receive a goal, if you graduate and look at that mommy and that daddy in that audience when you graduate, or make a touchdown, or get married, or hit the lotto, and you look at your parents and they're just gleaming because you hit a goal, and they just grinning their ass off for you because you got that goal. Are they gonna grin that same
Right.
way if like if you get off red meat? If you if you
Right.
learn consciousness, what they is that
Right.
something that they can relate to, and so this is, I'm gonna have to
Right.
cut this
Right.
short here, G, because the hospital keeps calling. But I did want to reflect on the nothingness of being here, and I'll let you wrap it up. As far as when I say it, I'm being cynical. I'm being a relic. There are experiences here that I wouldn't call nothing. You know what I'm saying? As far as in the true sense of they ain't shit, because we're couching these bodies. So evidently, if you do certain things within this, it is something, but it don't mean shit. That's all I'm saying. In the greater good, it don't mean nothing. So because when your ass die, you don't want to come back here, right? That's the only thing that means something. Everything you're doing to not come back here means something.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's true. And
So
that to do that is not doing nothing. That's just surrendering and letting go and understanding that letting it flow through you from a space of love and understanding and grace. It's a surrender.
mm-hmm,
And so that's even a not doing, but that that level of understanding is happening to you. God's grace shows you that how to relinquish your life to God
mm-hmm,
so that your life, whatever is set to happen, events that are destined to happen will happen forever. The dance is in this place, but understanding a higher knowing of that you're outside of this place.
yeah,
Like Jesus said, we're in this world, but not of it. So that's
right.
basically what you're saying, and you just saying it in a funny way. And a lot of times, and it's really that though. It's a really a edgy thing. It's edgy shit to talk about. But
It turns an alpha into a beta. I mean, not a beta into it's yeah. It turns an alpha into a not a beta. What's that other one? That new one?
Sigma, Sigma.
Yeah. It'll turn you into you don't really want to be around people. The more you know how much this ain't shit. You don't need the approval of nobody. And not just even being cynical, it's just being like, why say certain words? Words don't even mean nothing at some point. Because you just know how fake. So we just don't want to raise our kids like that, Black America, Black Cowboy America. We don't want to bring another generation of just, you know, confused motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? We want fulfilled, enlightened little kids and shit, and that helps your people.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right. And back to end on what you're saying, 'cause I know you got to go because Nana's they calling. But
Mm-hmm.
people need to understand that like the when you process this way and that truth happens, you're actually able to pour out more into the place
Mm-hmm.
because you understand what it is and what's happening and you understand what you are in it. So you're
Mm-hmm.
actually able to pour out more because you're not playing monopoly with it no more. You're just
Mm-hmm.
pouring out freely because you understand. So
Mm-hmm.
basically what you're saying and what I'm saying is actually the highest way to perceive in increasing measure because it allows you to pour every last drip of what you have here in the highest ways because you are surrendering, you know what it is, so you're surrendering it without all the illusions
Right.
being pressed upon you and accepting all those illusions, like you said, those false identities and oh, this means that and what
Mm-hmm.
is that and all that type of shit,
Right. Right.
you know.
Yeah. Hey, on that note, G, we're gonna cut him short. I appreciate you, man, and we had a little rocky road today. We got outside stuff happening, technical stuff, but we're gonna roll with it because we riders. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, just you guys, if you enjoy the content, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe, and go ahead and share. And somewhere down in the bottom is our Cash App, and you can help us, maybe get some gas in the car so we can be together and do these podcasts with your generous donations, help us do something, shit is high
Right.
nowadays. But without
Yeah.
further ado, we're just going to head and sign out, and just remember, cream rises.
See, you like to blame them onions when you cry, but you so sweet, now them onions caramelized. You been asleep, I guarantee I open eyes. Warrants and warranties I can't pronounce. Yeah, I showed up in this world unannounced. Solid gold was the throne I renounced. Lost myself just to